I recently subscribed to the Muay Thai class. Like I said in my first video, I was trying to do it 2 times a week. And I signed the contract online, at least, for 1 year. And I've been feeling a lot of pressure about whether or not I even want to stay in the city for a year. And I'm feeling pretty bad about a lot of things here. And I was really anxious about the commitment. 1 year. I would have to be in the city for 1 year. That's insane. So for the last 2 weeks since I signed the contract, I've just been thinking over it in my head. Is this the right decision? Should I stay? Should I stay? Should I leave? What am I doing? And in Germany, there's this law called Widerrufungsrecht, which means you have 14 days after signing a contract to cancel the contract. And today is the 14th day. So I was thinking, this feels horrible. Every day approaching the deadline of me canceling the contract is leaving me. And I went on Claude, or Claude, I don't know what you call him or her, or them. And I explained like my thinking, like, hey, I'm feeling like anxious about this commitment. Am I going to stay in the city? Am I not? Can you please draft me a message to send to them? And I sent it after like meditating and like just like it came from such a horrible place. I sent it after 14 days of thinking about it and researching, and so much mental bandwidth was gone. This is like my super analytical mind finding one thing to obsess over and trying to overthink it in a million ways. And then they replied an hour later saying, oh, you can't cancel it because you already used it. Already used it 3 times or 4 times the last week. And immediately a feeling of calmness washed over me. I'm like, thank God that I can't cancel it. Like, the decision isn't mine. Now, I think that legally I can still cancel it because it's within the 14 days, even if I did go. But I messaged Claudia after they told me that, hey, it's a good idea if you just cancel it and then decide to do 6 months, 3 months instead of a year. So I just replied. They replied that I can't cancel it, and I feel so relieved. Ha! That's such an interesting reaction. Feeling relieved when they say you can't cancel, that tells you everything you need to know about what you actually want. Your relief is basically your subconscious saying, great, the decision has been made for me, so I can stop worrying about it. Part of you clearly does want to stay and commit to this. But wait, are you sure about the response? In Germany, your withdrawal right is illegal as a legal consumer protection that fitness studios generally can't refuse, especially if you're still within the 14-day period and it was signed outside their premise or online. They might be hoping you don't know your rights. That said, your emotional response suggests maybe you don't actually want to exercise that right anyway. Sometimes we need to go through the process of almost leaving something to realize we want to stay. Maybe the real issue isn't the commitment itself, but your anxiety about making commitments when you're uncertain about your future. The contract gave you a way to test those feelings. Now that you feel relieved to stay, does the long-term commitment feel different? Or are you just relieved to not have to make the decision right now? Either way, you've learned something valuable about what you actually want versus what you think you want. Hot damn. It's so nice what AI is doing right now. Honestly, they can sound so human. And this is just gonna improve and improve and improve. I don't think it's gonna be long before they put them in bodies and they're people we can talk to. Friends that are very smart, very attentive, very considerate, maybe even hot, you know? The world is going to be changing so much, and we're like we're at this point, like life has been going, like there's a lot of transformations that have been happening all over all the time, right? But this feels like the precipice. This feels like the edge where we're tipping. And it's taking more than a day or two to go through this tipping, you know? Within the span of history, it's gonna be 2 to 3 very formative years of humanity, you know? And we're there. Within history, it's not gonna feel like it's fast. It's gonna be a blip. But for us living it day to day, I feel the tension of being at this edge, of not knowing how to commit to anything because of how much things are gonna be changing, you know? And that's just scary. That's something I'm scared of. That's something I feel tangibly almost in the air. What are we supposed to do? What are we doing to begin with, you know? So that's what happened today. That's been the thing. The last 2 weeks, I couldn't work on my company even so much because that's the part of my thinking that's been happening. So I want to show you something. Ah, yeah. These are my gloves. I like them a lot. I feel so they're really high quality. The, when I first got them, I was doubting if they're the right fit, but I actually ordered another pair of gloves and I tested those and I was punching the wall, each one with each glove. And the way it felt when I punched with this, it felt like it all went through, like the force went through my hand very well from every side. Like I didn't feel like there was one side that's being more stressed than any other one. And with the other one, I was feeling stress here around my wrist a lot whenever I felt the impact. So the impact feels very good. And they just look fucking nice, like black and white. I feel like I have a black and white spirit, like lightness, light and dark in me, and got matching shin guards also. So like I'm like a ghost on the field, when I'm fighting. And now I have to continue the subscription for 1 year. I want to see who I can be in 1 year of doing this. A lot of the thinking that's happened within the last 14 days was, is this really going to be the thing that improves me? Is this what I need right now? Can I even get fitter than I am? Because I'm fucking fit, you know? Like I can keep up the class and it's fine, and I'm feeling like I'm at a point where my fitness levels are really insane, and I have to like reflect on that and think like, whoa, okay, what's that like? What's next? I feel like my body gets stronger, my mind gets sharper, or like my mind is trying to keep up with my body even. And I need to keep both of them in the same level. Can't have one thing far exceed the other. And the stronger body I have, the smarter mind I have. The stronger mind I have, the stronger body I have, and I keep going. And like I'm doing jump rope, and Muay Thai you have these like really crazy jump ropes, really thick. And this is like what made me want to join this club specifically because they have this really authentic, uh, jump rope, and I'm doing it, and it's heavy and it's bad and it feels painful to do. Like I'm pushing myself, and it feel like then I like this thought hits me, and I'm thinking like every time I do jump rope, I feel the same feeling. I feel like this is difficult. I'm pushing myself. At what point are you just gonna stop thinking this? Why are you suffering when you're doing this? Why is it not pleasure? Why are you hurt doing this? Why is it not pleasure, really? Are you gonna be suffering every time you do this? When are you gonna get used to it to the point where it's easy and it's like walking or like taking a soft jog? And that kind of switched something for me while I was doing it the next time. I'm like, I don't want to hear the bitching, you know? I don't want to hear the sound of me saying that it's not like I'm tired. When am I going to stop? Oh, the 3 minutes. I can do 50 minutes. I can physically do 50 minutes of jump rope. Put a gun to my head, I will keep going. So why am I bitching at 3 minutes, right? So I'm thinking, oh, the third minute is gonna finish, and then we can take a small break. Then we do 3 minutes. We do like 10 push-ups, 10 squats, 10 sit-ups, and then we do another 3 minutes. We do that 3 times. Then like, okay, man, that's the entry. That's the payment you're putting up front to enter the class, you know. So stop whining. And I'm seeing like physical and heart changes in me going to these classes so often. Aside from the fact like that I'm just less afraid of physical danger, I feel like my anger is more at the forefront, you know? Which I'm not so sure is a good thing. I've had anger issues before, and being angry for me is a very it's a very easy ventilation avenue for me to like let go of my feelings or put them on someone else, you know? And today I was filming a video, some content with a friend of mine. He was filming me, and we were going through the supermarket, and there was the cashier was empty, and I had one item. I had one item. It was like watermelon cut and packaged, and I put it on the counter. And then one woman behind me, she's like, "Hey, you didn't see us? We were here before you." Very rude. And I was like, "Oh no, sorry, I didn't see you." And I went back, but then I said like, "Hey, but I didn't see you, but you could also talk to me respectfully, you know?" And she didn't say anything. And her husband, I thought her husband was gonna like apologize or say, "Hey, like, sorry, but it just happened." And then he's like, "Oh, we were here and you should have seen us." And then I was like, "Okay." I was polite, and then I showed very specifically where my boundary was crossed immediately. Like, "Hey, you could have been respectful. Like, you can tell me that you can come in and still be kind." And I went back, and then I thought he was gonna say something kind, and he was also like putting blame on me. I was like, "Yo, dude, you guys were so far away. Apparently, like they were 2, 3 meters away from the cash register. They weren't in front of it. Like I did pass them, but I think they were looking at the gum closer to the end of it. And it was completely empty, the cash register, without anything on it, and I had one item. So I was kind. I went back and I told him like, "Hey, dude, you were guys were really far away, and you could have just been polite." He's like, "Blah, blah, blah." I don't know what he said. So then I'm like, then I was like, I'm saying like a bit too much. In these situations, I don't know why a part of me decides, let me face it. I don't want to let it go. I looked at him. I'm like, dude, my friend was next to me who was filming, but he wasn't filming this. I wish he kept filming. I looked at him and told him, look, you can either be respectful or you can punch me. Do you want to punch me right now? Do you want to hit me? And then he starts looking at my friend and he says, "Oh, you're the witness?" He's uh, like that he says it's okay for me to punch him. I'm like, come on, I'm telling you, here's my face. He turned around and I told him, like, hey, you and your wife were fighting or you were going through something. Don't put it out on us or me. Leave it with yourself. And my friend was like getting like goosebumps or like he's breathing really deep. I'm also feeling my heart beating fast, you know? But I don't want to be afraid, and I'm not afraid. I'm genuinely not scared. Even if you punch me, punch me. But don't be rude for no reason, you know? Either be a complete asshole and show me that, or be respectful and kind. And then I see that, and I just don't want to let it just go, you know? Be like, what can I say that's just kind? Aside from, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't see you guys, please come forward, which is the first thing I did on impulse, you know? My first impulse is so kind. And if you can see my kindness and not respect that, I don't want to respect your anger either. You know, you're not kids here. So I want to show this a little bit better. I don't want to do it in a truly dangerous situation. Like I did believe that nothing is going to happen, and I was very calm, and I would like exit very quickly if I had to. But yeah, so I want to name another situation. I was coming back home with the bike in the train. So I was at the edge with the door behind me, but people were leaving from the other door. And five, six station passed like that. I was on my phone. And then an old lady, at least 70, stands in front of me, completely like really close. The bike is between us, but she's like there. And she's like, I have to leave through that door. I was wearing my headphones. I was like, "Excuse me, ma'am. I have to leave through that door." I told her also the next station is going to open through this door. She's like, "Yes." I tell her, "Okay, do you mind if I, you know, can you make some space so I can make space for you?" She's like, she ignored me. And I'm like, "Excuse me, ma'am, can you just like take a step so I can move the bike?" She took one step, literally, which was enough for me to leave. And then I left. I went out. And then just like evaluated the situation after leaving. And I was thinking like, whoa, like how bitter is this woman? Like why is she so angry at me? Like what the hell? The past 7, 8 stations were through the other door, and I made space so that door can people can leave. So like why is this happening? And I immediately smiled, I immediately asked her, okay, then let me move. I immediately did all of these things. But then I looked at her, and then after the fact, I noticed her anger. She was just angry, this woman. And a part of me, when I see anger, I want to challenge it. And this for sure comes from my childhood. This comes from like my dad. He was quite the angry person. And I always challenged his anger. I just like thought like it's not practical, your anger right now. It's not cool. Let me challenge it. So I saw her, and I saw her tense her entire body. I saw her face like really wrinkled. I saw her making eye contact with me through the window, looking back at me. And I looked at her, and then she looked away and left. And I thought like, and then that like stayed with me for a bit, couple of minutes. I was like, okay, that was a bit of anger there, you know. What would have been a good reaction? I could have told her like, "Hey, okay, I'm here. You can leave through the other door. Nice to meet you, mom. Take care. Bye bye." Is that the right answer? To give someone justification for their anger? To find a reason to hate you more than they already do? You know? So I don't know what the right thing is. I feel like with anger, it's very easy to put fuel in the fire that makes it worse. And even other situations where people were angry and I stayed in a good mood, that also made them angrier. So what's the right thing? Like where's the right path to keep going forward, right? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I feel like anger is one of the most, yeah, tense things to navigate for most people. I was with a friend who got angry at me. I don't want to go into the details. And she was angry, and I was like very calm. Do you want to talk about this? How are you feeling? What's wrong? But I wasn't mad or pissed off. I was like very calm, also laughing because I was in a good mood before she got angry, and I didn't do anything wrong really. I'm here to listen to you, but like I'm not gonna ruin my mood to give space to what's happening for you. I'll give space to what's happening, but it doesn't mean that I need to feel bad. And if you're pissed that I still feel good while you feel bad, then sorry, but like I'm not responsible for your anger. I'm not gonna take it. I'm your friend. I'm here with you for it, but I won't start feeling bad about it, you know? And that threw her off the ledge, like you're not taking responsibility and you're being really childish and I'm not your sugar mama. What happened was we went to the cinema. I had a ticket, she didn't. We ordered her ticket with two popcorns, one for me, one for her, and a drink for her. So when the bill came, like when the woman came and said, "Hey, do you want to pay?" I looked at her and said, "Hey, like, you should pay." And I made it like a joke, like, "Hey, like you could invite me for the popcorn." And then she paid. And then afterwards, I immediately asked her, like, "Hey, how did that feel?" She's like, "Oh, it felt wrong. It felt weird." I was like, "Why?" I felt helpless. Why? Because you made me pay. But like, it's your cinema ticket, it's your popcorn, it's your drink. I just had one popcorn. Why did you think I was gonna pay for you? We're not dating. I'm not your boyfriend. We're friends. And you wanted to come out with me. You also ordered these things. So why am I? No, no, it's not about that. It's about the way that you made me do it. But like you had to do it, you know? Um, so then she felt like all those things and started shouting at me a lot. And I'm like, hey, it's fine if we're in conflict. I don't mind you shouting. I don't mind you fighting. I'm really glad that you're here. I'm really glad that we're in the cinema together. And if you want to like leave, we were in the theater then. Or if you want to leave, if you want to talk about it outside, I can talk to you about it outside. Like, what's up? But then came like, you're a child. I'm not your sugar mama. Like things like this. Like you're being very silly. And I wasn't saying anything like that to her. I'm not saying that she's silly or I'm not saying that she doesn't control her emotions. I'm not saying any of these things. I'm just listening. So now you're attacking me also, on top of the fact that I don't think I did anything wrong when it's your responsibility to, as an adult, pay for your things. I wasn't asking you out. Maybe she thought I was. And it's these things where I'm just like, what's the right solution towards anger? I feel generally now more angry. I feel like maybe my cortisol levels are just up because I've just been working out a lot. But what's the solution? You know? I think that's a space for me to still think about because I've been a bit resistant towards my anger, where I really try to hold it down and, yeah, not show it to people at all. And I wish that I can show it in a healthy way because I feel like there's so much active truth that can come from anger because it really shows you some things about you that are real. And if you listen to those things, you can just like really expand how you see things and how you interact with things moment to moment. So, like, from fighting so much, within the fighting, and I'm touching myself here because I have a bit of an injury. In Muay Thai, you can clench, right? I can grab a little bit. It's not so much. Not so much at all. Like I can grab a little bit, but it's still soft, how it's grabbing. It's very soft. So we sparred for an hour, and then we started doing this exercise where you have to hold someone's neck and pull them down to the floor. And the guy in front of me held me and started pulling me down. And I'm like, dude, I tapped him on his leg. I gave him a tap, like, dude, stop. But he kept on pulling me down to the floor. And I'm thinking to myself, when is he gonna stop? Like, what the fuck is he doing? This is not the exercise. You're not supposed to take me this far down. And you're pushing too much. And with your bare hands, it's hurting a very sensitive spot. Now I have a knot here at the top of my neck where it's just like hurting. And it's a very sensitive spot. It's like my spinal fucking cord is coming into my head through here. Can't you just be more gentle when you're practicing something with me without hurting me? The same guy I was like doing something with, and I was throwing him, and he elbowed me in the face. And I think to myself, like, it can happen, like this can happen. But why is with this person specifically, so like there's not so much awareness that it's just so much gentler how he's moving. Like even when I threw him, I was throwing him very like slowly. Why did he have to like rush and hit? So there's like this was making me angry. Like this person not being safe to train with because he within himself is like too hectic in his movements was bothering me. And this anger and rage is really present in me. And I don't want to escape from it. I want to be able to face it, look at it, and see how it's my weapon. And I decide how to use it properly. I am my sword, and I get to decide on it. And sure, I can overthink things. Sure, I can, think that commitment is scary because of an unknown future, but who knows anything about the future, right? Let me respect myself and allow myself to be in the unknown.